So can you believe it's been a year? Today is our 1 year anniversary.
It's
well, I don't not really the exact date, but this is our 51st episode,
It's
and our
mind-boggling.
52nd is going to be. So obviously, a lot has gone on in the last year for both of us.
A lot.
So share something that I know there's been a lot of things, but what in particular?
I mean, we talk about relationships a lot. And one of the things, ironically, tomorrow we're doing our girl gang vision board get together.
Yeah.
And I was looking at mine, and what I had on there was I wanted to fall in love. Well, last year I fell in love, and then I fell out of love. So not fell out of love, but was no longer with that person. So,
right.
I mean, I achieved one of the goals. I was like, maybe now I need to be a little more intentional about staying in love or having that longevity, which is fine, live and learn.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all that's a thing and I'm excited. We'll talk about it with our guests today, but it's just all for us, our growth, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, I don't know, like I don't know, it's like a different personality came out.
Oh, you mean your social media
and stuff?
Your social media sensation.
Yeah, like I never would have thought ever a year ago, I would have never done that.
Right.
And
we'll say what you're doing because not everybody knows.
So a lot of social media reels, and they're funny, and I'm doing it with my daughter and sometimes with friends, and live videos talking about stuff. And like I said, I would have never done that a year ago. But even my mom's like, who are you? I don't recognize who you are.
And ironically, one of our clips went viral for us. Our first viral reel was over 134,000. And it was on my Facebook, but it was you talking.
Yeah.
So you've gone viral, but it was on my Facebook. So who knows?
Hey, everybody. It's Andrea Trout with Prime IV Hydration and Wellness. We're located in Delray Beach, and now we have new locations in West Boca, Wellington, Weston, down in Broward County, and then some that are not mine in Palm Beach Gardens, Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Lauderdale by the Sea. So you have a lot of options. In Delray, West Boca, or Wellington, come see us and mention the word sweet and get any IV for $149. And especially now with the holiday season coming, keep your immune system strong and be ready for those sparkling holiday parties. We hope to see you soon.
So speaking of where we are now and all of these things that have happened, we have a really awesome returning guest.
We are. And welcome back to Sweet and Spicy. Hi, Sam Ghanem.
Hi. It's so good to be here. I'm so proud of you girls. A year.
Yeah. It's a year, yeah. 50. This is the 51st episode. So it's amazing that it's there. I mean, it was fun. It went by quick and sometimes not. And so, like life.
Yeah.
But, and we're in a podcast group on Facebook, and all these people are like, oh, I'm starting. What, and they're all, and I'm like, we just did it. I am proud of that. You were like, hey, I've been thinking about this. I was like, I've been thinking about it too. And we just did it.
Yeah. And, I read, and Janine might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I did read the top reason why podcasts don't work is because the host quit after 3 months or 3 weeks, something like that, very quick. So they don't.
It's more like 8 episodes.
Yeah, the inconsistency. I can see it.
Yeah. So, to make it to 52 in a full year, I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, sometimes things show up like work and you have to actually do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to get back to kind of a follow-up with you and I have to tell you, I listened to our episode again today. In between all the other things I had today, which was a lot.
Nothing like last minute.
Hey, I got it in. And I adore that episode.
Me too.
I adore the conversation we had. And that's what we strive always to do is have a conversation with our guests, not so much interview style, but it was such a beautiful, in my mind, a gift to people that are listening of, they're all right. They're all right. And one other thing that we're kind of adding in, and I want to read this, and I'm very curious to know if you guys have heard this quote, because in my world, it's almost a little bit overused, but it was just appropriate. And so this is a quote from Marianne Williamson, and it says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Stunning and amen.
Have you heard that?
No.
I don't want to read mine now.
Yours is great.
Yours is so profound.
Well, it's funny because like I said, in some of the circles I travel in, I've heard it so much. And it anytime you hear something over and over again, it can become a little bit of a platitude, right? But it's not. And that's what you have to like, because listening to our conversation, I'm like, there's so many gems in that from your experience of what you went through. You had some amazing things that you were saying on that. Like, it was such a great conversation of growth and realizing you're okay and you're enough, more than enough.
I appreciated it so much, and I really applaud you girls. It's not an easy feat showing up consistently, starting where you're at, using what you've got, not making it so complicated. Like, I have my PhD in how to complicate things, I feel like. And so I listened to it and I messaged you girls yesterday and I thought, how incredible, right? It's like what happens in a year, what you could have never anticipated if somebody would have said to you, you're going to be making these videos. If somebody said to me, you're going to be saving business owners. If someone said to you, you're going to have recorded 52 podcasts with variety guests and have gone viral. Like, it's not even in our sphere in that regard.
Right.
But what is in our sphere is all of our doubt. So if you don't know the thing that could possibly happen, how do you know for sure it can't? And then I try to be really logical, and I realize in some cases things aren't logical. But when I went back to listen to it, my biggest takeaway was in your just innate knowing, and knowing that like where it happened exactly, where it became normal to dim my own light, and where that became a normal conversation for people to just kind of shrink to make others comfortable, makes it so that when you finally are just like, absolutely no more, it's so bold when in truth, this is really how you're supposed to be and what you were born to be. And instead you had to go out of your way to shrink it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the biggest thing that stood out for me from our episode, which is what I messaged you girls, was the concept of becoming a statistic. We're all going to be a statistic. So you just get to choose which one you want to be.
Right.
And it's a choice.
Right.
It goes back to what you said on there of the quote you had of choose your hard.
Right.
It's exactly the same thing. You get to choose what kind of hard you want, you know, in terms of something positive that's going to benefit you or something that doesn't, that's still hard, you know, and exactly what part of the statistic do you want to be? You know, there's a saying, and I'm not going to get it exactly right. Like, I want to slide into the grave with, you know, and I think it says one hand in a martini, you know, like, and obviously it doesn't have to be that. Like we talked about, you can have choices that are healthier, but the point is the zest for life.
Right.
And whatever that means to you is what you get to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible though, because there's no dress rehearsal.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Right.
And we didn't audition as far as I know either.
Yeah.
So you're filming in real time live.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. And nobody gets to edit.
Right.
You can go back and redo sometimes, but like you think about it and like the best laid plans. So my only thing would be, and something that's been really recurring, and I want to thank you for having me back. It's become a really major goal of mine to share as much as I can, because I didn't realize for how long I kind of snuffed and shoved and really suppressed what some of us have a gift, and that's a gift of voice and a gift of projecting a particular message. And I know that I have that, and I say that with love and humility in my heart, because I know that that was a gift given to me by God.
Yeah.
But I used to snuff it for so long.
Right.
That now I'm like, I've been approached to be on radio. I've been approached. Janelle and I are thinking about a variety of things with our coach who owns a production company and like all these things. And I thought, just starting where I'm at, right? And just sharing as much as I can and seeing somebody may hear something and it resonates and like, I already won for the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, how can you multiply your voice? Like, this platform is so magical. So I'm fangirling you girls big time.
Well, we appreciate that.
So I listened to it again, and the quote that I came up with that actually reminded me very much of just you as a person going into that podcast or that episode was not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced.
Right.
And I remember you were going through a lot of trials before the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like things you had been through in the past.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get too deep, we're going to do the 2 truths and a lie.
Okay. I came prepared.
I texted her. I'm like, okay, we're going to be doing 2 truths and a lie. And she's like, how do you prepare for that?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just don't want to stump you on the show. She's just, and she's like, I already have them ready.
Perfect.
She's like, if you want to be prepared, I was like, what do I have to do? I thought it was like a new version.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. I did a bodybuilding competition as a vegan and placed 11 out of 61. I was published twice during my undergrad and my master's degree programs. I won a dance competition in middle school to Montel Jordan. This is how we do it.
What do you think, Carolina?
I think the lie is the Montel Jordan.
What a bitch. I won that fucking competition.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
I did. And I can show you how we do it till this day. Okay.
So it's interesting because I'm like, I know you were a bodybuilder because you do everything extreme.
Right.
So, but I don't know if there's like a tweak in there that might not be the truth. Like, did you do it as a vegan?
No, that's the lie.
Okay, so that's what I wondered because I was like, I don't know about the publishing.
It's on my list of things.
To do it as a vegan.
But then today I had an entire discussion about the carnivore diet. So, but it's funny because I did. And it was supposed to be my next one. If you place in top 3 for 3 consecutive calendar years, you can get your pro card.
Wow.
And so that was my plan the next time. And then lots of things shifted and my health took a little bit of a turn, which had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the things that I wasn't facing.
Right.
So,
I know. I was like, that quote is deep.
that on its
The quote
own.
was deep.
Yeah, it just really reminded me of Sam,
thank you.
particularly.
Yeah. And so give us an update because I actually honestly thought you were way closer to the start of when we started recording, but I looked and you were actually about, I don't know, 35% of the way through the year. You were in July. Your episode with us aired in July, so it's been 7 months. And there's a lot that you've done in 7 months, so give us a little update.
Girl, you're all over the place.
I know.
I got Sad Man Cafe, Let's Go 180, The Entrepreneurial Woman, and Legacy Leavers. All kinds of speaking engagements, attending events all over the place, all over social media. And I'm sure I'm leaving some out.
Well, I literally was going to go to my recap.
You were...
But I also am on Speaker Icon with Bill Walsh. He's a small business expert. Janelle Kelly and I work with him directly he's our coach. And we're being trained under the leadership of like the leaders of the leaders. I was approached by the Better Business Bureau to be on the board. And I won that. Thank you all for your votes. I don't know whose pets voted.
So who told me that?
But
Me.
Oh, it was you?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
it was amazing. I have to tell you, it meant so much for me personally that they didn't even realize at the time. But having bought a business that was misrepresented financially in every part of my integrity in question, to be asked to be part of something that's so integral, it's based in integrity.
Mm-hmm.
The basis of the Better Business Bureau is honed in neutrality. So I was like, if this is not a full circle moment for me, I don't know what is in that regard, as far as the value I put on my network and the places, the rooms that I'm in.
Right.
Since July, we've sold out 2 more entrepreneurial boot camps, and we have another one coming up February 22nd.
Nice.
We've run 2 successful group coaching cohorts. So we've had, I think, 6 or 7 graduates come through that.
And you're doing that with your partner, Janelle?
Yep, and Let's Go 180, where we
Okay.
help business owners get unstuck and teach them the exact frameworks that we use to get ourselves unstuck and the same exact step-by-step mechanics that I used to get myself out of the red with SG Inc. and in the black. It was such an incredible moment. I never looked more forward to meeting with my accountant, and it had nothing to do with the actual numbers, but the energy behind it.
Right.
And we just looked at each other. If I'm honest, she started crying.
Hmm.
Because I didn't even think, I was like, I can't even believe. Like,
She did or you did?
she did. I didn't even get a chance to yet. She was like, you don't
Wow.
understand how much I was anticipating this.
Wow.
And I'm thinking like, whoa. And I also was incredible. The biggest takeaway is I didn't do any of it alone.
Mm.
So in times we have relationships that fall apart, people that leave us, people that make us feel like they've abandoned us. And what an incredible gift. And so I want to thank any of those people because they created room for the right
Right.
people to show up to help carry me through that incredible success. Um,
And that is so, let me just stop you right there,
yeah,
because what a gift that somebody left you, abandoned you, created space. It's a shift of how you look at it.
totally. I'll be honest, at the moment it happened, I even felt that way, but I was too afraid to admit it.
But
It's like one of those things you wouldn't have done
yeah,
yourself.
right,
So it was done for you.
right.
Honest to God.
Yes.
Um, I'm thinking it's now almost February. February 1st will be a year that I'm alcohol free. So that feels
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Congratulations.
That is awesome.
It feels so good. Keynote speaker on the Better Business Bureau. I was asked for the second time to speak at their for their Arrow group. It's a nonprofit space. Um,
And what do you speak on?
in this case, I'm going to speak on mindset and messaging as it relates to your internal message.
Mm.
So when we brand ourselves, they're only just words. If they're not powered by an true inner intention, you're just literally doing that elevator pitch. There's no merit in it.
Right.
And showing up in a congruent message so that you're not like one person at home, then taking the hat off, putting a hat on when you go to work, taking the hat off, putting a hat on when you play with your kids. Be embodying congruence.
Right.
That's something I struggled with for the longest because I didn't know you had the option. This is actually a harder question than I thought, and I say this because it's true. I really doubled down in my habit stacking. I really got so crystal clear on how I value my time, and I measure my time. I place a value on my time, not predicated on the minutes, but by how much of my heart can go into something.
Right.
And I'm literally an all or nothing person. And I found that that's actually something to lean into and stop trying to fight. So I just have to guard myself by being in the right places so that I can feel safe to dive right in. And I'm not on that line of like discernment, like maybe I shouldn't or I should, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think so. I'm curious your response or how you navigate that. But for me, when I'm in the flow, when I'm in that better intentionality, which I'm not all the time, especially lately, I was listening to it, and that was what came up for me. And I said it on that episode, and I'm saying it again. You were so intentional with the creation of what you did, but for me, there's an intuition. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. How do you navigate knowing what you can put that heart into, where it's not about the minutes, but it's about that, okay, I belong here, in choosing where you place that energy?
I'll say it in this regard, and I do struggle with it at times, or not struggle with it, but like our hearts are the only muscle that grow, right? Like naturally, I'm saying. And we're trained how to love. Like you're born knowing how to love. We're trained on how to live, right? So it used to be that I'd have the majority of the things that my heart really didn't want me to go to, and I felt like I had to. Those are the minority, and I'm not even lying. Like maybe they represent 5% of my prospects.
Yeah.
And so to answer the question, I've reduced the number of the maybe evers kind of. And I had to get really honest with myself because I do love hard, and I am intentional. So there are other ways I can reach out and be intentional. Case in point, like us sitting here, rather than being in a room necessarily where I couldn't get to you if I even tried because there's so much other stuff going on.
Right.
And I also, in being in the mindset space, the coaching space, and working alongside one as well, understanding that every time you say yes to something, you say no to something else. And it doesn't have any charge to it. It's just very practical. So if I say yes here, I'm going to say no here because it's all like a trade off.
Right.
It became very easy for me to be like, if I say yes here, then this thing is a no.
And so the differentiation between the two like makes it clear.
Yeah, because they become undeniable.
Which one is more important?
Right.
Yeah.
And yes doesn't mean it's positive, and no doesn't mean it's negative. It's literally just like not the coin toss, but the like, do I go left or do I go right? Because if I go this way, I'm not going that way.
Yeah.
And also really getting very honest with myself and how I schedule myself. I even schedule my breaks. And there was a moment where I started to get too used to the alarm going off of my phone, so I'd ignore it. So I changed up the times.
Right.
Because like we all are people, and we get lost in the shuffle of life for a minute, an hour, a day, whatever.
Right.
So I just had to like kind of like, shake things up a little bit. So I changed the times that my alarms go off to pause. So it's not so like routine,
Right.
I will say that it's almost like it's done for you. Not almost, it is done for you. So now I don't even Like, I don't even receive the invitations that I have to say no to.
Hmm.
I don't even know how to put it because it's not intended to sound rude.
No, I get it. Because it's probably matching your energy.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, not to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I
but-
was just going to
but
say it's all love.
Speaking of love and going right or left, I want to know what's going on in that department.
Oh, and I forgot one other thing that I've done since July is I hosted my first comedy show on my
Oh,
birthday.
yeah, that's right. You did. Is this at
Yes.
the...
Sad Man Comedy
Yeah.
Cafe. I'm hosting again on February 16th, but they asked me to host, and the date happened to be my birthday. It was a coincidence.
Wow.
Really?
Coincidence, but you know.
Yeah.
What's happening in the swiping left or right?
In the love department?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm loving on myself so hard. This party of one is wonderful.
But are you open to it, or it's not even on your list?
It's so far from my radar. This is how I can say it. I'm in rooms with amazing people, and if it's for me, it'll find me. I am not like isolating to the degree that you're like, how are we going to meet somebody?
And you're not against it?
No, but I'm also not, it's not a priority.
Yeah, because you had said you were not dating in
I
2024, so you didn't.
No. Yeah, I met some, like the way I put it is in 23, I met somebody really special, and I know very much about season, reason, lifetime. And despite it being seasonal, that was a lifetime lesson that I had the capacity to execute a relationship in that way.
Right.
And just love for the sake of loving and not having this crazy list.
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, I've been giving myself the rest of myself and giving everyone the best of myself. So pouring into me for a year on a 41-year life is nothing, right? Like I'm like, whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, what is it? 2.5% or something. So that said, I'm open to it. And it's incredible the people that I'm meeting, but I don't want like situationships and entanglements. I don't want placeholders. I don't want program and distractions.
Well, it needs to be somebody that adds value, that
Completely.
adds to your life, not a distraction or a
Right.
burden or, like, ugh,
Yeah.
but somebody that actually adds value to what
Right.
you're already doing.
And I've never dated online, and I don't intend to. My life is wildly interesting
don't.
as it is. So I feel like I'm going to let you do and deliver.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit back and receive because I'm going to be like, and that is why I don't.
Yeah.
What I will continue doing is supporting my friends in writing their profiles because it gives me a lot of material. So
You're writing profiles for
I
people?
am.
That's hilarious.
That's
I am.
great.
I'm signing Caroline up for you to write her profile.
I'm down.
See?
We will laugh so hard. Like,
Can I be there and film it?
yes. And then I need the screen records of the prospects because I audible them in my mind.
Oh.
My sister's the best. Like I won't even be able to open up the photo completely before I have an entire dialogue of what they sound like and the things they say. And I'm not usually far off, like accents and everything.
That's so amazing.
I am very afraid of what is on the other side of those apps.
Yep.
But you do a great job at telling us. So
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. And I'm going to keep telling you. I got the 3rd degree. I don't know if you guys read that whole thing between the guy that was giving me a really hard time on there about, well, you should really be intentional with
Oh, yeah.
how you date. And meanwhile,
I saw a part of it.
I will say,
You're like, I'm intentionally dating for content.
right. And the funny thing, I mean, it was like a literal debate at 6:30 in the morning.
But isn't it amazing how important you are to him that he has
Right.
to do
Well,
this
you know
with
what's
He's
funny?
triggered.
He's on Hinge.
Right.
And he tried matching
Is he
with me a week
unhinged,
ago,
unhinged?
a week before this whole conversation. And I did not because I'm looking for something very specific. And after that debate, he sends me a message on Messenger. If you want to go out for coffee, I'd be willing to do that.
Were you friends on Facebook?
Yeah, we're friends on Facebook.
Oh, and so you knew him when
I
you
knew
saw him
him.
and swiped left.
Correct.
Didn't match, whatever.
Right. And then it was funny that he went and did, I'm like, oh,
So his feelings were a little hurt
Maybe,
that
yeah.
you didn't match.
yeah.
Janine. I mean, look, rejection is not easy. We've all been there.
And it
but
wasn't anything personal against
Right.
him in case he listens to this podcast. But
No,
Yeah.
you're looking for something that he didn't present. So,
Correct.
But he didn't present it regardless of the debate.
correct.
Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like one of those things like there's nothing to do here. respectfully.
Right.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
But no, thank you.
So one of the things that I want to know is, since you were last here, you've done so much. If you could pick one thing that changed the most and what you are the most proud of.
One thing that changed the most, which is also the thing I'm most proud of, is how I speak to myself.
Okay.
I am like a mush to myself.
Mm.
And I swear to you, the beat up stick has been retired. I don't even know where it is. I get frustrated. I'm a person. I'm audible. I'm expressive. I'm intense. I'm all the things. But I don't even ruminate in my, like, you could have done this. You could have done that. Nothing.
Yeah. You know, what's funny that you say that is, we were talking about the let them theory, because, you know, it's a big thing now. And she's reading the book and listening to the Audible version. And so just today, I was listening to it on the way to work, and she made a really valid point, which I don't think any of us think of. But when we are, for example, taking a photo, and I always do this. Oh, wait, it's got to be this side, because this is my best side. Or when you send a photo, should I wear this outfit? She said, every time that you guys or anybody does that, it is self-rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And we all say, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks. But she was like, actually, yes, you do. And every time you do little things like that, you do it because you're afraid, subconsciously even, that what's somebody going to think about what I'm wearing? Or what if I look bad in that picture? What's somebody going to say? And so she was talking about how not to do that to yourself. And it's kind of like, you have to be better to yourself and talk to yourself better and about yourself better. And so,
I mean, like, my winning in terms of like my agency over myself and my, I don't know, umpteenth practices in a day that are only but a bunch of little things. I don't have like, I don't like wake up and like start beating drums or any of these things, which would be very fun now that I think about it. But like, just the way with which I am in my mind and in my heart is so amazing to me to look at, because to me, like, if nothing changed, that changed, it would be very hard for me to say like everything else wouldn't have followed suit. I also didn't know that you had the option. I was training an AI tool yesterday and doing a few things, and I wrote the words, like, the objective was not to hesitate on the words, like whatever came out of you, type it. And I typed, choose you, every time choose you, water yourself first. Every time you want to water someone else, take a sip of water.
right.
Right? And I was like, who the hell is this? And I looked and I was like, oh my God. And I thought, like, in the simplest of things, a gallon of water a day, like the tiniest things, to like, okay, moving your body every day, to having gratitude and being like, Sam, like, damn girl, like you did thing today. Or just acknowledging like the simplicity of being in bed reading a book, and like, it's peaceful
Right.
and the house is clean and like everybody's okay, as in me and my family and my village, and my plants are happy, and like my bills are paid. Like, honestly, and it seemed so ridiculous because a couple years ago you would say these things to me and I'd be like, no shit. But if I'm honest with myself, it's like I wouldn't have even noticed the plants. I wouldn't
And
have
that
even noticed.
it's the power of now.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Presence.
Do I need reminders? Yeah. Do I have accountability partners? Yes.
Right.
Like, yeah. Like,
You mean you're not perfect? What?
that's nauseating. No.
That's boring.
Super. I actually would like a camera to follow me every day, because I'm like one ongoing blooper. Like returning, I'm like, I forgot the box, go back. I like the box that I can never get.
Right.
Or so it's like my
You could
first
just
day
wear a
walking.
GoPro on your forehead.
Someone offered today, he's like, do you want me to follow you? I said, yeah, as long as I can use the bloopers, because they're the most entertaining.
Right.
Me fighting with the door because the key won't work. Like,
Because it's the wrong key.
yeah, or the automatic thing on the car won't work. Or dropping F-bombs in the very wrong situations. No, far from
I love it.
very wrong.
I just saw a meme earlier today. It was hysterical because I know we've all done it. And this woman is trying to run out of the house, and she grabs her purse, and the purse latches, like gets caught on the door handle.
Yeah.
And she was like, I just got diagnosed with clinical depression. This is not the fucking time for this. And it was hysterical because that happens to me all the time. It's like one of those days where you wake up and the day's shit already. And so it was like a blooper like that.
It's funny.
So last week I went to an event, and I had a flat tire, and I just made it into the plaza, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, Lord, I made it to the plaza."
Right.
So then I go up 3 flights of stairs, and I'm like, "Oh, I need my VIN. It's probably on my insurance card. It's not." I go back down. I get it from the car. I go back. I do this thing back and forth, back and forth. So then I'm finally coming out of the elevator, and my purse handle gets stuck, and I go to walk, and it breaks, and I'm just thinking, can they see me on the cameras? Like, this would be the most entertaining thing.
Yeah, that's funny. So on the last episode that we did together, I don't know if it was the last thing I asked you, but I did ask as we were finishing, what is next for you? And your response, or what you were responding, and in my head, I was thinking, you should mentor. And that's what you were actually responding.
Right.
And so it seems like you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing. So what now? What is next for you now?
So first of all, your questions are very yummy. This is very good. I approve of all of this, including the online dating bloopers. That's what I want to see. Those bloopers. This year is definitely been started out, fostered, and just total, again, agency and ownership. As far as business is concerned, I'm realizing there's no delineation between me and business or me out of business. So I had a discussion with someone the other day, and I said, I don't really need days off. I just need to know, like, I like to have days where I can be more spontaneous, but I'm always in the work and doing something. We're building businesses. Like, it's not, you don't like to take a day off and check out per se.
Right.
And the work that we're doing, sometimes a bunch of little things yield much bigger results than like 2 or 3 days of just like pounding the pavement. Right.
Right.
So what's next for me is scaling our business, scaling SG Inc., and working with like-minded businesses whose residual is in the other person's success. We have a couple conversations happening in the moment, and really honing in on my public speaking and working with kids, working with teens. And although we already became the resource that didn't exist here in South Florida, we have representation in Vegas and Chicago now. Like, it is pretty crazy to think about. When Let's Go 180 Incorporated, it was just in August of last year.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
It's awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's so beautiful. So I think what's next for me is to just continue really being intentional and living in the present, honing in on my gifts, saying yes to as much training as I can, because it's one of those things that I really feel like I need to constantly feel like I'm building on something.
Right.
You doing training for other people, or are you doing training for like yourself?
Both.
Where you're learning?
Both.
Both. Okay.
And I feel like it's become so evident to me now because we're working with so many other business owners, and there's a variety of challenges and personality types and just stories, cultural dynamics, just a variety of things that are pretty much not constant. They're very different each time.
Right.
I love being a student anyway. And I'm also working on my personal brand and leaning into being a certified wordsmith. And my sister really encouraged it the other night at dinner. And I'm like, you have a point. I was also working with another comic who I really admire. And she'd been struggling to talk about how she would position her one-woman show. And she was sharing how she wants the audience to relate to it in a way that it takes them back to a time and in a moment. And I said, so you basically want to take them on a ride of one continuous inside joke. And she just kind of looked at me like I had 10 heads. I said, because if you see something that reminds you of something that, like, let's say only you and I know about, you'll crack up. It'll take you back to a moment in time, a feeling. You'll probably remember details. And it's like only this thing that the two of you understand.
Right.
And she's like, please send that to me right away. It's like, you're a translator. And I'm like, okay. And it's just really cool.
You do have a beautiful gift with words.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really do.
Thank you so much. It's so crazy because it took me the longest to figure that out because I was so acclimated to silencing everything. Right. And it's funny, we think if we don't speak, it's quiet. When in reality it's paralyzingly loud in here, you know?
Right.
And I also want to play more in the arts this year. I did 9 comedy shows last year, and I hosted and did improv with a nonprofit in Orlando. I really want to work with them this year to create a healing space where people who have adverse childhood experiences, like most of us, can come and write, a 5 or 6 minute set. And Mike Panzica, who is my comedy coach and pseudotherapist, with the Panzica approach, we're going to work alongside him and the woman that runs it's called the Rib Tribe. And I also...
That's the charity?
Yeah.
The Rib Tribe?
Mm-hmm.
And they're out of Orlando?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I actually went to her TED Talk. It was amazing. I learned that the ACEs test is the one test I want to fail. And I have 8 out of 15 ACEs. So and she has 14 out of 15. So it's pretty crazy to think about how many adverse childhood experiences you have.
Right.
There's a nonprofit piece that Janelle and I are also working on called the Entrepreneurial Woman, and that will sponsor 25 women-owned businesses in the next 2 years in the teaching that we offer, plus all the support they need to scale their business. They would apply. It would be any woman that's overcome trauma. And what happens is we typically need non-traditional solutions. If you just needed more loans, you could go get more loans. If you just needed more space, you need non-traditional things at times.
Right.
And for fun, I'm going to go get my spin certification
Nice.
because I love spin. And I'm like, why am I here and I'm not teaching?
Said no one ever.
I love it. It's so
Really?
much
I'm
fun.
like, oh,
Yeah.
It's so
Wow.
much fun.
so glad that is your goal.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
take my class.
That's awesome.
Don't take my class.
So we're out of time, but we definitely, any less us, we definitely have to have you now back in a year almost and keep this trend going.
It feels really good, and I appreciate the recap. I think that I just really want to offer people an invitation to acknowledge all the things that have happened without sitting in, acknowledge the shit, but don't sit in the shit.
Right.
And don't sit in the shit for too long. You're not getting this time back anyhow you look at it.
Right.
And you're here on purpose. It wasn't an accident that you're here. So if you weren't on the planet would be a problem. And it's like a problem that we couldn't solve without you. And I've never felt more moved by seeing people take inspired action to accomplish. I don't care if it's like cleaning your house.
Right.
Everything doesn't have to be grandiose.
Right.
But when you add up all those little things in a year,
Mm-hmm.
and I really would also encourage the listeners to track your progress. The best thing I ever did, it was the first time I did it. I was like, I thought it was bragging, and then I thought, so what? Whatever. And I posted my quarter results of my personal inventory and the messages I was getting personally. All I'm going to say is there were some people that if they hadn't seen it that day, I don't know what was going to happen to them. And I'm
Wow.
not taking credit for it. I'm saying you have no idea who's watching.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And it's so you don't want to go for that walk, go for the walk. Post your miles and your progress.
It is interesting because
Yeah.
I just did, I'm starting a challenge at my gym because they do it in January, and you have to do the in-body scan,
Yeah.
where you do your body fat.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my goals this year was to get to 20% body fat because as an adult, I don't think I've ever been 20% body fat. I've always been way higher, right? And, I've been working out with the same place for 2.5 years, and I've been tracking my progress. So I'm at 22% body fat, and I would not have been able to tell you I'm already that low. And then I was doing a intake with the guy on the nutrition for the program, and he put it in as 31%. And I was like, did I read it wrong? I had a little, and I was like, instantly, I'm like, nope, he's wrong. I know it's 22% because I was so sure that was where I was at already. And I said to him, I'm pretty sure that number's not correct. And he was right. It was a different number. He just put it in the wrong box. But it's not something that it's funny, I'm sharing it now, but I don't necessarily feel comfortable sharing it because I don't want to brag.
Like, why? It's not a brag, by the
I-
way. And even if it is, it's okay.
Yeah. And I guess partly because the old me would have seen that as somebody saying, I'm at 22% body fat. But anyway, so I know we have to wrap up, but we will definitely have you back. We really appreciate you
Thank
being
you
here.
so much.
It goes
Thank
fast,
you.
huh?
I
I
know.
know, it does.
It feels really good, though. Thank
Yeah.
you, girls.
We love you.
We love you. I
We're
love
proud of
too.
you.
Thank you so much.
So be sure to
Stay tuned.